Hannah Skingle joins me now. She's the Chief Operating Officer of Dragonfly Biosciences. Hannah, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Hannah, we're at the Cannabis Europa show in London, United Kingdom, and you have been very busy, I've noticed. And
Yes.
so I'm wondering, what does Dragonfly Biosciences do?
So we are a seed-to-shelf CBD company, organically grown. We cultivate in Bulgaria, extract in Romania, formulate back in Bulgaria under EU GMP, and then we distribute all over Europe, but we've really predominantly been focusing the brand element in the UK. It's kind of our test run. Gone really successfully. We were the first CBD product to go into Boots. We also are in Tesco and Sainsbury's, which cover 45% of the UK supermarket share.
Right.
We're in premium brands such as Harrods. But this is just kind of one side of our business. The other part is the wholesale element, where we do white labeling and bulk sales to European clients.
And this is just CBD products?
Just CBD for now, yes.
Okay. And so are you a publicly traded entity?
No, that's
Down the road?
2020, I would imagine.
Oh, okay, great. So the CBD market seems like it's already way ahead of even where Canada is in terms of the availability of it. I've been to all of these stores. They've all got large CBD displays with lots of different variety. What is the state of the market? I mean, it seems like there's almost too much supply relative to demand.
I think there's a lack of understanding. There's a lot of companies that have entered into the market that know about CBD. We've seen North America grow. We understand it from that kind of perspective, but actually your day-to-day kind of UK citizen might not know. I mean, we've definitely seen an increase over the last 3 years. I would say that 1 in 10 people had even heard of CBD about 3 years ago. Last year it was about 1 in 5. This year I'm thinking of around 1 in 3. But it's not that kind of full understanding. It's just, oh, I've heard of it. My friend told me about that. So I think that we're poised to be in a great position for when people start understanding it more. But in order for that to happen, we need regulators to change the regulation, enable us to actually market our products better, and also just be able to educate like pharmacists, technicians, etc., so that people can actually understand it that way.
It seems the CBD market is so far removed from the actual cannabis market in the UK and in Europe because CBD has suddenly become mainstream, whereas THC is still very much taboo, especially in the context of the UK system, where there's only a handful of clients who can get, or rather patients who can get access to THC-based drugs. What's the holdup? What's the bottleneck, and how is it going to change?
I think as a CBD company, we've had to detach ourselves away from the medical. With medical, we know it's going slowly, and that was actually a strategic decision from Dragonfly. We've done everything to EU GMP standards so that when the medical market actually does open up for CBD as well, we are poised to enter into that. But what we've had to do is actually create the food supplement element of CBD, and that's what it's categorized as in Europe, and then remove ourselves away from the medical side, because otherwise it actually places restrictions on us to sell the product. I think over time, once certain companies and government and regulators have all kind of come together, and there's not just mass press releases about kind of the medical market doing X, Y, and Z, and very little patients getting any access. Once that happens, then we can kind of move in. I mean, how it's going to get there, it's going to take a long time. The politicians seem to want to observe the Canadian market before they act, which could be quite long-winded and slow.
Yes.
So I hope not, but that's kind of the way it's going at the minute.
Right, interesting. So they're wait and see on Canada. Canada's, struggling with its own regulations. There's new versions coming out all the time. So then the decision to stay strictly with CBD, does it seem to you that there will be any changes in the access to CBD for people in the UK? And how will that be affected by, for example, if this Brexit thing happens? Will you be able to sell in Europe?
Yes, we built our company on Brexit, firstly. We started in 2017. We were well aware that it was going to happen, or could. And so all of our assets are actually outside of the UK, Bulgaria and Romania, all EU countries. It's just simply our headquarters here. So we are in a position to continue business. In terms of CBD companies, very few CBD companies actually extract or formulate in the UK. So if there are any tariffs that come in place, it will be the same on everybody, and it will be a commercial entity's decision whether they pass that cost onto the consumer or absorb it themselves. But everyone will kind of be in the same position for that.
Mm-hmm. Is there any impetus towards recreational cannabis consumption in Europe or in the UK?
I think there definitely is by certain members of society, absolutely. Do I think that we need to walk before we can run? Yes. I think that going with a kind of spearhead of talking about recreational and not really defining what recreational is. Like, is recreational just a different vice that you can consume CBD in, or does it have to contain THC? And establishing that before we kind of approach the recreational space, as I think it will definitely scare regulators.
You bet.
Yeah.
All right. From your perspective at this point, is Europe an easier place and moving forward more quickly and more sort of openly than the UK, or do you think they're both sort of bogged down?
I actually think the UK is one of the most fast-moving,
oh, okay.
which is quite a sad reality. We have in the UK, we have the most engagement from local authority and also kind of EU member state authority. And they actually want to hear about how we think we can reform CBD policy and the regulation, whereas I know in other EU member states that's a lot more closed. I think it's challenging as well because CBD is currently regulated under food or under medicine, and therefore it kind of needs its own area. I think cannabis in general needs its own kind of regulatory committee in order to kind of have a blanket understanding and be able to move more freely. I think each country has their own agenda, and there's definitely politicians fighting both causes in every country. So we'll see.
You bet. All right, Hannah, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks very much for your participation.
Thanks so much.